Welcome to HFY Sci-Fi channel. Don't forget to subscribe and explore. Alarms screamed through milk-white cloud as hull plates buckled inward, icy vapor jetting across fractured control glass. Warning lights strobed crimson over flight harness while gravity tumbled again and again without pattern, each tumble flaying stability from mind as surely as shards carved new paths across aluminum skin. Fusion coils flared deep orange when atmospheric drag sheared guidance fins clean away, pitching craft into accelerating spin toward jagged canyon walls shrouded by swirling spindrift. Metal groaned like an ancient beast yearning for end, yet propulsion system fought final pull with waning thrust until fuel pumps choked dry. Collision erupted in cascading detonations, cockpit sled skimming across ice plain in bursts of blue fire before momentum surrendered. Harness snapped release latches, shoulders slammed bulkhead, helmet visor fracturing at rim. Silence followed, only wind drilling through rents, only heartbeat pounding into ears that rang from pressure shift. Whirling snow invaded cabin, layering consoles with glitter that caught remaining dashboard glow. Acrid smoke curled around knees as survivor unlatched seat restraints, boots sliding across inclined floor strewn with wiring entrails. Frost gathered on eyelashes, bending each hair until vision blurred into crystalline haze. Relief scout pressed gloved palm against ruined canopy and forced passage outward, joints shrieking from cold more savage than vacuum. Outside, canyon stretched beneath sullen twilight sky, walls striated with ancient basalt cliffs buried under centuries of drifting powder. Suit sensors flashed hazard runes. Oxygen reserve hovered at critical threshold. Warmth bled away through micro-tears. Survival hinged upon locating operational power source within scattered debris field before storm erased all trace. Blazing ember emerged amid twisted frames, cylindrical thermal core still humming with stored reactor heat. Radiance pulsed through vents like breathing lung, casting gold across ice sheet. That glow drew weary footsteps, each step cracking crust beneath insulated soles. Hands locked around scorching housing, suit servos compensating for mass that felt heavier than entire hull moments earlier. Fuel conduits snapped free with metallic twangs, vapor shooting skyward. Core pressed against chest delivered delicious warmth, yet also seared memory of comrades uncounted who vanished inside fireball above ridge. Snow curtain advanced from horizon, thick wall devouring canyon opening as gusts sharpened. Shattered fuselage already faded behind swirling veil, glowing fragments disappearing under fresh drift. Time beat quick drums, urging retreat toward shelter before white flood buried last salvage. Scout trudged toward overhanging ice shelf glimpsed earlier during descent, core lighting path in amber arcs. Wind whipped cloak, lifted shards of ice that sliced exposed fabric. Every inhale rasped like serrated blade, yet heart refused surrender. Ice grotto received lone figure. Interior shimmered with frozen stalactites that rang faint notes when touched by storm-driven pellets. Core positioned atop broken stalagmite radiated heat, vapor blooming against crystal surfaces in swirling halos. Beyond grotto mouth, storm roared with primal delight, racing along canyon floor, sealing crash scar beneath layers of powder. Inside that glowing chamber, single breath after another found even rhythm, while mind measured chances ahead. Each plan orbiting warm cylinder resting inches away, single ember standing between fragile life and silent expanse. Wind ripped across canyon mouth, pushing curtains of snow against fractured hull sections. Helmet lamp swept across pale mounds, catching a scarred cargo container lodged at awkward angle among splintered girders. Paint once crimson had faded into bruised rust, edges curled outward like petals carved from steel. A narrow hatch remained jammed by frozen sediment, yet light spilling through jagged seam hinted at interior chambers still intact. Gaunt silhouette pressed core against chest harness, vapor rising from metal surface. Boots crunched through crusted powder toward hatch while sensors registered falling oxygen saturation. Gloved fingertips traced seam, feeling absence of vibration. Any hum from powered systems had ceased long ago. Thermal blades slid between warped panels, sparks hissed as alloy surrendered. A final shove unhinged door. Frigid wind surged inside, swirling crystalline dust across stacked crates. Lamp beams swept once more, uncovering shapes crouched in shadowed corner. Moonlight filtering through breach revealed slender figure wrapped in torn cargo blankets, knees drawn close around bundled infant. Purple-tinged skin hinted at circulatory failure, breath escaped lips in ribbons so faint sight barely registered. Small body within rags lay unmoving, limbs limp, eyelids frozen half shut. Suit diagnostics projected critical vitals across visor. Every instinct demanded haste, yet sudden movement risked startling weakened guardian. Silent nod offered reassurance. Gloved palm extended toward bundle emitting dim warmth from fading chill of core pressed between arm and torso. Eyes reflecting helmet glow tracked gesture. Uncertainty rippled until exhaustion overruled suspicion. Fragile hands relinquished infant into waiting grip, shoulders slumping as though final strand of resolve snapped. Skin under gloves sensed chill radiating from tiny form, colder than surrounding air. Pulse faint beyond measurement suggested time measured in heartbeats rather than minute. Core housing pressed against swaddling, residual heat seeping into frail chest, while mask vents shifted flow toward face, seeking hint of response. Snowdrift outside container moaned as heavier gusts battered structure, threatening collapse. Each vibration shook icicles loose, shards tinkling across floor. Shelter demanded reinforcement before wall gave way, yet life hanging within arms commanded first priority. Blankets parted just enough to reveal lavender cheek drawn tight over bone. Breath surfaced as pale mist once every handful of seconds. Voice emerged, low, calm, recounting mountain tales from distant colony world, syllables chosen for cadence more than meaning. Sound alone offered anchor against freezing despair. Another blanket slung from crate top served as makeshift sling, positioning infant close against reactor core. Magnetic clamps secured device to harness, converting explorer into walking incubator. Pulse gauge edged upward by fractional margin, visor display pulsing green for first time since canyon crash. Guardian watched transformation unfold with widening eyes. Tear crystals formed along lashes, sparkled in headlamp beam. Silent gratitude poured across space between two survivors while snow beyond walls drummed fierce cadence, reminding both Storm cared little for fragile alliances forming beneath fractured steel ceiling. Plan required swift relocation toward Grotto where earlier warmth lingered. Cargo pod interior held supplies, yet hauling entire cache across blizzard remained impossible. Lightweight packets of nutrient paste and medical patches found room inside pack. Everything else risked turning journey into tomb. Shakily, Guardian rose, legs trembling under weight of starvation. Arms slipped across shoulders offered support, drawing pair into mutual orbit around core radiance. Footsteps measured, mindful, purposeful, progressed through skewed doorway into blinding white fury waiting outside. Storm swallowed figures almost instantly. Amber glow swirling within drifting snow betrayed existence of fragile procession. Each stride fought against invisible river dragging toward chasm, yet resolve drew strength from tiny heartbeat vibrating through reactor housing. Grotto entrance materialized as jagged rent in ice wall, core light reflecting across surreal blue interior. Arrival offered brief respite though gale still howled outside. Infant nestled closer. Mother collapsed beside heat source, breaths lengthening toward rhythm promising survival. Inside crystalline chamber, golden aura illuminated translucent columns, casting silhouettes that danced across curved ceiling. Reflections formed whispering chorus, each shimmer urging guardianship over fragile flame entrusted to wandering stranger. Night on quarantine moon always stretches longer than memory expects. Within Grotto, warmth from core rose gently, forging oasis where 3 lives clung to thread spun from courage, chance, and ember borrowed from shattered ship. Outside, Storm sculpted canyon anew, burying wreckage along with any path back toward orbit, Yet inside glowing refuge first breath of hope spread across frosted glass of visor, faint yet undeniable. Icicle blue glow pulsed from grated vents at chest height, bright among frost-hung crystals. Crash kit lay open on an ice slab, contents arranged in precise semicircle. Microtorch, alloy shears, fabric weave, filament sutures, titanium screws. Jaw set firm, survivor disengaged suit torso plate with rapid motions, quick snaps of maglocks accompanied by soft sigh of compressed air. Thermal core, heart of armor, emerged with dawn gold radiance that pushed shadows across cavern walls. Blank stare from exhausted guardian followed each movement, arms curled around listless bundle as if marrow alone might shield tiny ribs. Scrap panel from cargo pod became base platform after rough corners yielded under torch flame. Gauze strips, rescued from med pouch, threaded through drilled holes, forming sling above radiant cylinder, gap narrow enough to cradle child yet allow warmth to bathe fragile skin. Metal cooled. Visor dipped toward guardian, voice low, sharing purpose behind craftwork with tone inviting assent. Thin pupils widened, suspicion eased until trembling fingers loosened grip on rags. Transfer unfolded in hush. Infant settled upon woven cradle, face illuminated by amber shimmer, eyes shut yet lashes fluttering at fresh warmth. Suit diagnostics on wrist display shifted from critical crimson to warning orange, pulse indicator edging upward in tiny increment. Guardian inhaled with shudder carrying relief and terror in equal measure, gaze darting toward cavern mouth where wind hurled sleet against ice columns. Radiant cylinder issued rhythmic hum resembling distant heartbeat, each pulse feeding gauze with gentle heat, each pulse granting fragile lungs another chance. Breath brushed visor interior, fogging polyglass pane, yet within chest cavity something lighter stirred, akin to sunrise over frozen valley. Storm outside pressed harder, snow surging through narrow gaps, yet small chamber embraced new center, halo circling child, guiding hopes of two weary souls. Trust seldom buds within minutes, yet guardian shifted closer, shoulders easing despite jagged hunger, palms hovering near radiant sling ready to mend fresh peril. Thoughts drifted toward orbital blockade hunting downed craft, toward suit battery draining, toward ration packs thinning, yet gaze remained fixed upon cradle where ember of life gained strength. Heat gauge stabilized, infant cheeks tinted faint rose, tiny fingers curled around air-seeking anchor, fragile grip upon existence reaffirmed. Quiet settled, fragile yet deeper than storm's roar, shaped by shared vigil rather than pure silence. Cylinder glow painted guardian's profile, ridged cheekbones catching amber light, tear crystals melting upon skin regaining subtle hue. Within that hush, promise unspoken passed between survivors, while ember burned, canyon cold lingered outside heart's reach. Fuel rods required replenishment eventually. Every heartbeat carried urgency toward plan forming behind tired eyes. Ridge creaked under fresh snow mass, cavern ceiling answered with low groan, reminder that sanctuary balanced upon brittle foundation. Tools stowed, cradle anchored to core with braided wire, positioning strap adjusted so sling could rest against torso during travel. Guardian understood intention without words, gaze following motions, head nodding once before blanket draped over shoulders, preparing for march toward firmer refuge. Golden radiance pooled across floor, glinting off scattered shards of ice. Ember of life had risen, carrying promise beyond single heartbeat. Footsteps would soon trace path across white expanse, cradle swaying with each stride, storm furious yet slightly less triumphant over fragile warmth borne through night. Ice ridge loomed beneath muted glow, gusts hurled powder across frozen scar left by engine blast. Knee-deep drifts resisted progress, yet core cradle shimmered amber against violet night, guiding march toward distant silhouette of storage tower lying on side, ribs jutting skyward like snapped fingers. Collapsed or silo emerged through blowing veil, a corrugated cylinder half buried under ice, access hatch torn free by earlier impact, interior darkness breathing vapor with each gust. Guardian tightened blanket around child while Scout pressed shoulder against buckled doorway, muscles bunching beneath suit plates until frame gave way with shriek of metal. Warmth from portable reactor rolled inside, scattering faint blue luminescence across metallic catwalks bent downward toward rubble pile. Shuffling shapes retreated deeper among crates, faces gaunt, eyes reflecting gold sparks from core cradle. Low murmurs carried fear. Bones protruded under tattered work garments, stomachs long empty. Refugees numbered 8 by quick count, each clutching crude spear fashioned from pipe segments. Scout knelt beside central beam, secured reactor core against steel strut, crimson coil lines pulsing heat into Arctic chamber. Cold haze receded, moisture beating along rivets, droplets hissing as they met glowing surface. Improvised forge followed. Detached ventilation duct became chimney, scrap barrel served as combustion chamber. Micro-torch sliced rusted panels into feed door, hinge fashioned from cargo strap. First ignition consumed splinters of pallet, sending columns of orange into vaulted shell, light dancing across weary faces. Condensation rig rose beside stove. Copper coil salvaged from coolant rack wound through hole drilled in lid, interior hung above boiling pot. Melted ice dripped into catch can, each drop ringing clean promise across hush. Hands once fixed in tremor stretched forward, cupping cupfuls of fresh water, lips quivering before first sip. Comms hazard required countermeasure. Scout stripped transponder foil, layered sheets along inner wall, grounding edges with fused wiring. Radar bleed reduced to stray static, drone sweeps outside ridge would read blank terrain rather than warm bodies clustered inside silo. Heat, water, shelter, 3 gifts altered gaze of silent observers. Curiosity replaced suspicion, shoulders lifted, breaths deepened. Guardian lowered hood, violet eyes glistening under furnace glow, gratitude unspoken yet vivid. Storm intensified outside, iron walls groaning under fresh snowfall. Roof seemed split further, showering sparks as wind forced shards of sleet through gap, but barrel flame roared higher, defying chill. Infant nestled within gauze cradle emitted soft whimper, tiny fist opening, finding air alive with warmth. Scout rested gloved palm upon small chest, pulse thumped beneath cloth, rhythm answered inside own ribs. Within metallic ruins, community heartbeat began anew, although distant engines rumbled across canyon, blockade patrol tracing faint thermal anomalies. Signal dampers held pulse contained, yet awareness of pursuing steel kept tension taut, every ear tuned for approach of searchlights. Night stretched on, dominated by ceaseless wind, though silo belly cradled rising hope around golden ember, each heartbeat nurturing resolve for dawn operations that would demand trade of comfort for survival. Pale dawn seeped through silo seams, painting rusted ribs with chilled silver. Barrel stove breathed orange across gathered faces, thawing joints stiff from restless hours. Chalk dust drifted as Scout etched lines upon flattened crate lid, diagramming supply corridors glimpsed on visor display during descent. Canyon flanks held crawler roads carved during early mining rush. Each route hugged basalt terraces before snaking toward blockade depot beyond ridge. Refugees listened, eyes tracking gloved fingertip gliding across improvised map, trust rising with every measured phrase. Teaching began with spark. Fuel drum overturned, flint wheel assembly revealed, one turn, bright shard leapt into tinder nest of shredded rags, flame blossomed, watchers gasped, guardian drew infant closer, heat swirling across fragile cheeks. Lesson advanced toward controlled burn. Narrow chimneys carved from duct scrap vented smoke through cracks high above, scattering signature before patrol sensors could lock on coherent plume. After warmth came earthwork, or rather ice work. Group followed leader outside, picking path through drifts to canyon wall where or conveyor once passed. Collapsed tunnel offered seed geometry. Spades cut from signboards bit powder at shallow angle, lifted minimal snow, pressed harvest against inner face to muffle collapse. Hours slid by. Suit alarm signaled oxygen refill window, reservoir remained moderate due to strict rationing, urgency sharpened rhythm. When trench reached 20 meters beneath ridge, visor array displayed crawler heat blooms creeping along distant shelf, 3 vehicles, 8 axles each, convoy pushing toward depot, path matching chalk sketch. Excitement pulsed through workers. Caution governed response. Scrap-built spears proved useless against armored convoy. Ingenuity promised success. Back inside silo, chalk marks multiplied. Circle highlighted narrow bridge where ice softens under morning thaw. Second mark pointed at communications repeater perched on spire. Removal of relay would lure patrols while civilians guided freighters toward hidden flats. Diversion required luminous beacon. Magnesium shavings poured into discarded vent pipe, timing set by corroded drip from meltwater tank. Eruption planned to blaze across horizon. Pursuit units certain to swarm brilliant tower, leaving convoy thinly guarded at bridge. Volunteers stepped forward. 3 miners with hammer-scarred palms, 1 medic whose ribs pressed garment. Fear lingered, yet resolve outweighed hunger. Infant murmured as ripple of purpose filled chamber. Guardian brushed lips across tiny forehead, gaze locked upon chalk map, quiet vow gleaming in violet eyes. Storm outside softened to whisper, moment aligned with plan. Bundles packed, tools hidden under coats, reactor cradle secured against breastplate, gauge resting in safe band. Hatch swung wide. Horizon shimmered beneath amber promise of orbital sunrise. Ice cracked under boots. Breath crystallized before wind carried haze away. Steps fell in hush across brittle plain toward dug passage under ridge, spark of defiance glowing within every heart, promising dawn shaped by courage rather than fear. Icy dawn painted ridge line with thin vermilion, brittle air humming under distant thrusters that skimmed horizon. Months-old transceiver, buried under silicate sheets inside silo wall, pulsed a desperate code each sunrise, timed bursts riding solar scatter toward fringe trade lanes. Rust-scarred freighter drifting far above mining belt caught fragments of that signal. Figures aboard traced coordinates, sensed profit where suffering usually hides, and whispered across contraband channels like drifting sparks. Corporate security grid, built for interdiction, monitor arrays along orbital path, caught stray harmonics blooming from those whispers. Algorithms flagged irregular pattern, assigned investigation sweep over glacier sector with emphasis on energy anomalies. Black composite drones, each slim as rapier, launched from patrol carrier, wings humming through pale stratosphere before dipping under cloud veil, sensor pods sniffing infrared trails. Furnace heat inside silo struck cold atmosphere through vent seams, faint plume curling skyward. Triangulation software marked convergence, route plotted for armored crawler column garrisoned at Ridge Depot. Barrel stove crackled when scout adjusted airflow, unaware of steel birds slicing above canyon. Infant slept inside gauze cradle, skin warmed by reactor glow, while guardian ground medicinal roots against stone to brew thin tonic for hollow stomachs. Boot steps thundered across roof plating as spotter burst through hatch, chest heaving, voice rasping urgent warning about shining shapes darting overhead. Faces turned toward vaulting ribs where faint vibrations drummed metal, dread coiling inside every ribcage. Chalk map from prior lesson resurfaced on crate top. Scarred finger traced shortest escape burrow toward abandoned transport tunnel beneath or seam. Snow tunnel crews grabbed spades, adrenaline lending speed where fatigue once ruled. Scout swung pack over shoulder, reactor harness locked tight, cradle shielded by leather aprons scavenged from repair kit. Infant heartbeat pulsed warmly against armor, reminder of fragile purpose amid incoming storm of iron. Guardian rallied refugees, eyes afire under furnace glow, urging swift descent through narrow shaft carved earlier for coolant pipe salvage. Each soul grasped climbing line fashioned from braided cables, bodies vanished into dark chute one by one, torch flames casting quick silhouettes upon rusted walls. Roof plating shuddered as aerial sensors locked on signature. Warning siren from patrol carrier boomed across canyon, mechanical howl bouncing between cliffs like hunting horn. Refugees still inside shaft hauled rope lower, boots scraping ladder rungs fashioned from welded rebar, breath clouds swirling around heads under faint lamplight. Scout lingered topside long enough to wedge magnetic dampers along vent stack, choking heat flow and scrambling infrared reading. Final glance swept across stove still glowing inside vast ruin. Ember of life had birthed sparks of defiance, now those sparks retreated underground, carrying courage into darkness where siege weapons held less power. Boot heels struck ladder rungs, descent rapid yet controlled, metallic clangs drowning distant drone hum. Above, hatch slammed closed, sealed by gravity of fresh snow drift. Steel birds passed overhead, instruments finding muted field where bright beacon once glowed. Crawler column already churned along terrace road, treads grinding crystal crust, sensor masts spinning for quarry promised by machine mind. Glacier prepared to witness reckoning between starving spirits armed with ingenuity and corporation wielding metal might, each heartbeat drawing sides nearer edge where survival hangs. Snow sheet smothered every shape until sky fused with ice, gusts tearing through ravines, erasing sense of depth or distance. Within that white curtain, one ember pulsed beneath composite plates, guiding a lone stride toward caverns sculpted by ancient meltwater beneath ridge. Each hollow chamber housed cylinders salvaged from propulsion manifold, copper contacts wound into coil loops, thermal banks primed to erupt with silent brilliance, sealing fragility ready to serve purpose above supply road. Glacier rumbled under crawler treads long before visor picked target. Vibration climbed through soles, burrowed into marrow, settling behind sternum like distant drum. Hidden beacons inside drifts painted false trail. Heat nodes in staggered line promised easy passage for pursuers while masking genuine footprint. Corporate squad advanced behind armored plow, visor glass glowing turquoise against swirling snow. Voices across private channel carried swagger, unaware of shifting crust beneath chassis. Scout crouched behind bulwark of frozen shale, reactor cradle glowing under cloak, infant secure deeper inside tunnel with guardian watchful. Recording link hijacks squad feed, every viewpoint streaming into suit archive. Troopers forced miners at rifle point to haul rubble, laughter cutting wind as suffering fed amusement. Each cruel command stamped fresh proof across timeline. Crawler nose reached cavern mouth. Steering servos hummed, metal mass rolling into crystalline hall lit by flood lamps. Hand closed around detonation plug, lungs held frost, pulse hammered against throat. Internal count reached final beat. Thermal charges surged. Radiant wave flashed upward, pillars fractured, roof slabs thundered downward as gravity claimed thousands of tons. Crawler chassis cracked, treads snapped, command turret sheared free, sparks spraying into void while armored plates folded like parchment. White squall swallowed screams. Avalanche roar merged with storm until only grinding reverberation lingered among shattered corridors. Helmet feeds captured chaos, blinding snow, tumbling steel, faces twisted in panic, before links severed under crushing weight. Data stream locked inside secure vault. Scout withdrew along narrow vent carved earlier, auxiliary charges humming behind to hinder any chase. Blood raced, yet footfalls remained measured, route chosen with calm precision toward subterranean refuge. Behind retreating figure, glacier settled over broken convoy, smooth snow already masking track. Evidence of cruelty waited inside encrypted core, ready to ignite outrage once path opened toward distant stars. Storm persisted, yet within swirling white a spark of triumph burned bright as ember cradled against armor, promise of dawn shaped by courage rather than fear. Wind shrieked outside ice shaft, swirling crystals across narrow antenna ridge. Inside cramped station carved from ore vein, fusion torch glow illuminated shattered relay dish bolted against outcrop. Gloved fingers threaded copper leads through burnt insulation, linking storage module packed with squad footage to broadcast array. Compressed packets held every shout, every muzzle flash, every order that pressed starving miners into service. Avalanche memory surged around workshop, urging speed while coolant and suit lines inched toward freeze threshold. Power spike risked discovery, yet silence promised harsher fate. Ignition charge roared within snowfire flare beyond ridge, infrared plume masking data burst by saturating sky with chaotic heat bloom. Transmit pulse rode shielded corridor, skipping through high troposphere toward freight channel behind planet shadow. Union freighter captain scanning static for piracy alerts caught first fragment. Danger tags embedded in stream bypassed corporate scrubbing filters, pushing raw feed across independent mesh. Screens aboard cargo convoys filled with tumbling crawler, panicked troops, rifle stocks slamming frail backs, white storm streaked crimson. Rage surged through comment bursts, volunteers pledging escort, press syndicates queuing live coverage. Colonial Governance Office upon nearby moon received thousands of signatures within hour, each demanding launch of relief asset. Admiralty docket cleared berth for medical carriers flanked by patrol corvettes, jump drives charging under hurried directive. Flagship orbiting glacier detected anomaly traffic on public net, legal inquiry tags flashing bright across command board. Risk matrix projected tribunal sanctions, profit drain, command chain chose extraction over escalation. Engines roared, blockade ring fractured, primary cruiser angled toward outer halo. Inside subglacial refuge, barrel stove crackled while comm receiver registered inbound friend code. Weary miners lifted gaze toward cavern roof as distant sonic boom rolled beneath crust, promise humming through stone. Scout hushed celebration, mind returning to ration levels, defense lines, infant breaths still fragile though stronger. Storm prowled ridges, peril far from finished, yet hope at last balanced fear in trembling hearts. Snowshine glazed canyon walls as twin searchlights pierced dawn haze, turbines hurling swirling crystals across or silo roof. Pounding rotor wash rattled corrugated plates, loosened rivets, showered sparks across barrel stove already burning low. Beacon flare launched earlier still burned at ridge top, crimson column guiding dropcraft skids toward packed ice plain beside shattered crawler ruins. Infant heartbeat, once faint as drifting ash, thumped strong within gauze cradle cradled close to reactor housing. Guardian's violet eyes never left glowing visor gauges, pulse mirrored by rising confidence beneath ragged hood. Thermal cloak lifted from peg near stove, charred seams still smelling of melted alloy yet interior lining warm as sunrise. Outside hatch, relief corps armored troopers fanned outward, boots crunching crust while medics unpacked triage crate. Helmet speaker carried vow of safe passage, each syllable ringing clear through frigid air that tasted of jet fuel and promise. Refugees stepped into half-light, cheeks flushed by excitement and cold, arms raised high, palms open, proof of surrender turned into greeting. Scout strode last through hatch, reactor glow painting green visor, rifle slung yet barrel angled downward, message of trust without spoken word. Command lieutenant saluted crisp, visor reflecting battered armor still smudged by cavern dust. Data core changed hands, feed already streaming across FleetNet, chain of custody ensuring crimes recorded amid avalanche would stand before tribunal. Mother drew thermal cloak around cradle, edges overlapping until charred fabric formed cocoon glowing with borrowed warmth. Tiny fingers broke free, lightly brushed scorched collar, smudge of soot left behind like seal upon covenant between wanderer and child. Crowd gasped at sight, hush sweeping line of miners. Symbolic mantle spoke louder than anthem, proof that survival rose from shared ember rather than delivered salvation alone. Snowfield rumbled as heavy lifter touched down, cargo bay doors folding to reveal stacked pallets of ration, medicine, water purifiers, answers to months of hunger. Yet eyes of gathered survivors fixed instead upon child swaddled in cloak, icon born from courage, guiding spirits toward future free of chain or fear. Scout stepped aside, shoulders easing while medics ushered group toward heated tents. Guardian paused, gaze meeting visor one final moment. Gratitude shone brighter than beacons still burning above ridge. No words passed. Breaths alone carried meaning, silent pledge etched into hearts to guard memory of night when single spark lit frozen world. A new day broke across glacier, sunlight refracting through ice dust kicked by departing blockade cruiser fleeing inquiry. Relief fleet engines rumbled overhead, sonic booms rolling across plains like distant drums heralding dawn free of shackle. Among swirling powder stood mother and child wrapped in cloaks scarred by fire, living testament that warmth extended by stranger can kindle revolution large enough to bend iron greed and thaw whole worlds.